Is Diego Pavia a legit NFL draft prospect?
You are Locked On Vandy, your daily podcast on the Vanderbilt Commodores, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yo, welcome into the Locked On Vandy podcast on the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm your host, Corey Burton. Thanks for making Locked On Vandy part of your day. Shout out, especially to you everydayers. In the preseason NFL draft talk for next year's prospects, we're already in that world. There's already talk about Diego Pavia's chances of being a legitimate NFL draft prospect. What's working in his favor? What's holding him back? Pros and cons. What does he need to show scouts to improve his stock? Well, we're going to break it all down here in just a minute. Then one of the most important games is, well, as a coach would say, is the first one. And I know it's Charleston Southern, but this game will give us a lot of intel on how this Vanderbilt team is constructed, how they will behave, likely how they will behave, just kind of an overall tone setter for the season and kind of a tone setter for how things are looking heading up to Blacksburg the following week. So thanks for making Locked On Vandy your first listen each and every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube as a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. So going back to, or getting to our topic at hand here, Diego Pavia, you hear all these NFL draft, there's all these draft accounts out there on social media, and, there's all these mock drafts everywhere, and who's going to go where, who are the top prospect. We've talked about Eli Stowers. He's right now, ESPN had him mocked in the first round. So there's some legitimate NFL talent on this roster. Is Diego Pavia one of them? And we're going to, my goal is to explore that. I think that he is. Not in a way that he's going to be a starter, but in a way that he's going to be somebody that's going to be on the roster, help you prepare, just kind of be an all-around weapon, that type of situation. So when you look at his chances, he's not going to go first round. And I'm going to tell you why. But I think it's interesting to have this talk because he is such a dominant type of personality. He is such a prospect and a college football player that you kind of just have to look at him and say, I don't know. And I've learned with Diego Pavia to never say never, right? This guy's never going to, he shattered that. This guy's never going to make it in the SEC. Well, he shattered that. He's not going to win on the road. Oh, he shattered that. Well, Alabama's going to humble him. Well, he shattered that too. All the doubts that people had about him, he kind of just broke them, shattered them, just shattered the expectations. Vanderbilt's going to win 3 to 4 games next year. Clark Lee will be fired. Well, shattered that. They're not going to beat Georgia Tech in a bowl game. Shattered that. So it's just interesting to see just kind of the progression of what he's been like coming from New Mexico State. And so the social media post, the tweet or the X post or whatever you want to call it, that kind of drove this conversation was this one from Bill Sparks at Sparks Scouting. He said he had this to say. I'm not going to read this whole thing to you. Well, actually, for the audio side people, he's a very fun prospect to watch. His mobility in and out of the pocket and ability to improvise allows him to turn long dead plays into something magical. This man plays with a chip on his shoulder the size of Jupiter, and it shows every week. Vandy is never out of it because he'll put his entire body, heart, and soul on the line for the win. His frame may be small, but you can't deny this man's heart. He plays like he's 6'5", 230 pounds. He has an adequate NFL arm strength, but his release is a bit unorthodox and may need to refine that at the NFL level. So let's kind of break it down. Let's break him down as a prospect. What does he bring to the table if the draft happened today? What does he bring to the table? Well, his intangibles are off the chart. Okay, and what does that mean? His intangibles. Well, toughness, leadership, preparation, that kind of thing, like his intangibles and the leadership quality, mostly his aggressiveness, his ability to improvise, his ability to stay calm and poise under pressure, that kind of thing goes a really long way in the NFL, because a lot of plays, I don't know if you've seen it, but a lot of plays break down because, hey, the defense is good too in the NFL. It's not just the offense, but how many off-platform throws have you seen Patrick Mahomes make? How many times have you seen Josh Allen improvise, or Justin Herbert, or whoever? How many times have you seen those guys improvise and make something out of nothing? Probably more times than you can count. So his intangibles and his ability to create in those situations is kind of what sets him apart. His leadership is unmatched. He's going to, as Bill Sparks said, he's going to put his entire body and heart and soul on the line for the win. He's going to do whatever it takes to get the win. He's going to do whatever it takes to will his team to victory. He's going to pump up his teammates. He's going to, he not only does that on the field, he does it off the field as well. I mean, he's everyone's biggest cheerleader. He's in everybody's corner. He's got your back. He's going to be the one standing out front, taking all the shots when he has a press conference and he says something like, yeah, I don't think we're going to have, I think we're gunning for a college football playoff. Like, he's going to be the one taking the hits for that. And he knows that. And he has that much confidence. Like, that's not fake juice, by the way. That is legitimate confidence that he thinks this team is going to make the college football playoff. And I love it. And everyone out there in the college football world is saying that is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. But when your quarterback has that much moxie to say that and actually believe it, and that much confidence in himself and the team to believe that statement, I think shows you what kind of leader he is. Like, he believes in his guys, and he will do whatever he needs to do to motivate them. I mean, he's going to, he's going to get fired up. He's going to run over somebody. He's going to be the first one he's going to be the first one taking accountability when he makes a mistake. He's going to be that guy. That's his leadership qualities. That is one of the intangibles that teams look for the most. Who can get the most out of their guys, right? And he is certainly one like that. And there's a lot of examples of guys out there like that, various ways, within their own personalities. But like a Tim Tebow did that a lot. Kirk Cousins does that. Patrick Mahomes is that way, leadership wise. I mean, there's a lot of guys. I mean, I could sit here and rattle off name after name after name after name about guys who have intangible leadership qualities. But that's the kind of thing that you like to see. You just gut out and will out a win, like against Alabama. Just pure guts in the second half for him to will that game. The comeback that fell just short against Texas. Guts, man. He just led his team, believed in it the whole time. They just ran out of time. I think if that game was 5 minutes longer, they win. Against Missouri, they're doinked field goal away from winning that game. The only one that kind of sticks out to me is the Georgia State game, which I think just the whole team was just kind of off. It was just a weird vibe. But like his intangibles, man, like when you look at all the stuff, the preparation, the knowledge of the game, like the knowledge of the system, the work he puts in practice to get rapport with his receivers, things like that just kind of lend itself. And the toughness, of course, the guy is he's tougher than a $2 steak, man. He's gonna, the chip on his shoulder. Plus, you have to, if you're gonna play with a chip on his shoulder like he does, you have to be tough, and that he is. He is a pound for pound, just a tough dude, strong dude, plays like he's 6'5", 230, and then that's a true statement, but he's 6 feet. And so it's just, those are the things you look for in a quarterback. You look for those intangibles because like the physical attributes, they're great, but like, and I don't want to undersell them because like the best quarterbacks in the NFL have rocket arms and have the size and have the measurables. But, I think that goes a long way into being on a roster at the very least. There might be a team out there that sees these intangibles and says, we'll take a chance on him, draft him day 3, round 6, round 7, draft him, see what he does, cut him, no skin off our back. I could see a team bringing him into camp, and I can see him leadership wise, competitiveness wise, I could see him going out there and making a team. I really could. Just off that alone, he's going to compete and he's going to figure out what he can bring to the table that's different from the guys he's competing with. And he could make a roster. It's not completely out of the realm of possibility, but those are the kind of things that stand out to me. I think one of the things we need to look at now is what does he have? What does he need? What is this year going to look like for him in terms of success, in terms of draftability and things like that? All that kind of stuff is intertwined. We'll talk about that next. But first, I want to talk to you about Gametime. I mean, it's the NBA playoffs. They're kicking off right now. Well, not kicking off. They're about to hit into overdrive here. It's getting down to the wire. But there's fans losing their minds. These home court advantages, these atmospheres in Oklahoma City and Indiana are insane, and they're delivering for sure. It's fun to watch. But if you want in, Gametime makes it fast and easy to get seats, even for the biggest of playoff games. Prices on the app actually drop the closer you get to tip-off or the start of the game, with killer last-minute deals, panoramic seat views, and no surprise fees. Gametime is a total game changer. And speaking of game changer, I was looking up Sounds tickets, and they have really good zone deals. They were offering 60% off in some sections. Right around the dugout, I was like, well, this is pretty good. So if you want to, if you're in Nashville and you want some good Sounds tickets, that's the place to go. Or concert venues. I bought my wife some concert tickets back in December, and we found a great zone deal there too. And man, it's just, I love that you can see your exact view before you buy. There's no surprises there. I mean, the app is insanely easy, insanely simple. It's just 2 taps, man, and I'm done. And with Gametime Guarantee, man, you're getting the best deal. If I find a better price in the same row and section, they'll credit me 110% of the difference, and they'll do the same for you. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCollege. That's LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download Gametime app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Well, welcome back. Locked on Vandy on the Locked On Podcast Network. Thanks for making us your first listen. Shout out to the everydayers. Shout out to the first timers, second timers. If you're an opposing fan walking by to make fun of my Diego Pavia draft analysis, welcome. Glad you're here. I take whoever wants to stop by. I appreciate you all equally. And so, when talking about Diego Pavia, the intangibles, I think, are the biggest thing that makes up his game. And if you need a second listen, by the way, Locked On SEC is the place to go. And Locked On Ole Miss if you need some really good, unique perspectives on some things. Those are some shows, or any show in the SEC realm on this network you can check out. So when you look at Diego Pavia, man, he gets so everything is so wrapped up in the intangibles, right? The leadership, the preparation, the toughness, the competitiveness, the just the chip on the shoulder, all of that really just kind of plays into his makeup and the player that he is. So I think when you look at him, you have to spend a lot of time on the intangibles because they bring so much to the table. Now, you get into the physical parts of his game, the athleticism. I mean, he's a dual threat playmaking ability. I mean, although I think he needs to improve on this, and he needs to improve overall as a passer because he's going to have to find a way to, get around his unorthodox release. But I think his ability to make off-platform throws is incredible. I think that'll go a long way in this evaluation. But standing in, whether it be play action or drop back, I think his skills as an overall passer need to improve there, because I think the downfield accuracy, you have to be able to show that. You have to be able to press the ball downfield. You have to be able to push it downfield. And I think he lacks that a little bit. I think an elite level, a draftable level, I think he leaves a lot to be desired in that realm. But his ability to make a play, something out of nothing, is uncanny. You do an outside zone bootleg and you got a guy in your face, you shake him and you gain 8 yards, those kind of things, or in the option or in the run game, or he's a true dual threat guy. There's precedent for dual threat guys. Quarterbacks as runners, that has some staying power, although he needs to become more durable. But Josh Allen is a runner. Lamar Jackson is a runner. Justin Herbert, to a certain degree, is a runner. Trevor Lawrence, a little bit of a runner. I don't know about what Cam Ward's going to be. I'm trying to think of some other quarterbacks. I don't think Jaden Daniels runs primarily. He can, but I don't think he runs primarily. But I think those are the only guys that really truly run as a primary mode of offense, or it's an equal part of their game versus just an ability that they have that they can tap into. But his ability to make plays, his ability to make things out of nothing, are going to be what makes GMs on day 3 go, this is an interesting prospect. We need somebody that's going to come in and force our offense, or force our defense to be better. He's going to push, and he's going to be competitive. He's going to bring a competitive spirit to the, why not take a chance, right? Because he's proven that he can make plays. He's proven that you put him in a situation, he's going to make the most out of it. And that's kind of what you look for. So the thing is, though, how does he show that? What does he need to show that, hey, he's a day 3 guy, he's a draftable guy, right? What does he need to do to further prove that? His intangibles already there, just continue to develop those as you normally would. But here's what he needs to do, man. And this is kind of where I'm at on Diego Pavia. I don't think he's going to be a first round guy. He's not a first round type of talent, but I think if he can show the ability to push the ball downfield with accuracy from the pocket, I think that will go a long way into convincing GMs that he can be on an NFL roster. I mean, he didn't do it a whole lot last year. I feel like when he did off of play action, he was pretty on point, but I think in other instances he wasn't. And I think it's more of it's not as much of an ability thing as it is a consistency thing, because I think sometimes he just gets so juiced up, he just launches the ball downfield and he misses. There's been some shot plays that he's missed because he's jacked up. That's the downside of him having so much energy and having so much of that competitive spirit, that I think sometimes he just gets into these throws and just delivers them. He needs to find some more. I think it's going to be, consistently doing that, just being able to, hit your target down the field. And within the NFL, I think you also have to look at not only pushing the ball downfield with accuracy from the pocket, but also being able to find the ability to be able to put the ball in the tight windows, right? You're going to have a slant that in college would normally be wide open, but there's a corner draped on this guy, and you can only put it in one small spot, size of a Dixie cup. Can he put it there on a consistent basis? Is he going to overthrow? Is he going to throw behind? Is he going to put it in the dirt? What's he going to do on a slant throw? On a hitch? He's got to be able to zoom it out there, because that corner is breaking fast. The speed of the NFL is significantly faster than college, and those windows close down a lot faster, and they're a lot tighter to begin with. So can he fit throws into these tight windows that close fast? Is he going to be able to put enough zip on the ball to be able to do that? the ones that have staying power in the NFL can. So he's got to be able to show that his decisiveness and his ability to push the ball downfield as much as his ability to put the ball into tight windows. He's got to have that arm confidence. He's got to have that arm power and arm talent. And he's got to be able to trust that he can do it. And I have no doubt that he can. He's just got to go out there and prove it. I think the next thing you have to look at is his ability to recognize defenses and set protections, check into good plays, check out of bad ones, being able to diagnose quickly after the snap because things move and change so rapidly in the NFL. You got to be able to diagnose what's happening and stay on your read and be able to deliver. I think if you can do that kind of stuff, you're able to, again, you're going to be able to play in this league. And that's something he's going to have to develop. I don't know that playing at New Mexico State and then playing at Vanderbilt on a consistent basis, if he was able to do that, but the schedule is going to lend itself to see, just how much of an improved passer he is. And just how much of an improved quarterback he is, not just a runner that can throw, that can make plays. Like he's now, I think this year is going to be more important than ever for him to play the quarterback position like an NFL quarterback. If he wants Vanderbilt to win 8 games, if Vanderbilt's going to win 8 games, he's going to have to do this anyway. So I might as well go ahead and throw that out there. And Diego, if you're listening, if I need to get some Michael Jordan type of motivation to you, just so you can play well, I will gladly do it. Even though I may not believe it, but I think that's one of the things you're going to have to be able to do. You're going to have to be able to diagnose quickly, get the ball into tight windows, push it down the field, be aggressive in doing so, and just playing the position of quarterback and being able to sight adjust and check and all that stuff. And then, lastly, the durability, the ability to command an offense at a higher level. Again, part of the command of the offense is being able to come in and the checks and the audibles and you come into the huddle and all the other 10 guys are looking at you going, okay, it's Pavia time, right? We got this. Like you're going to have to be able to look at, Justin Jefferson in the face and say, and him look at you and have that utmost confidence. Like you're going to have to take command of the huddle. You're going to have to take command of the position. You're going to have to be durable because you're not really worth much in the NFL if you're in the training room all the time, or if you're on IR or whatever. Like durability is something that you need to improve on. He's gotten beat up, and being a dual threat guy, that's going to happen. You're going to take a beating. It's going to take its toll on you. In the NFL, it's worse. So, you have to play into your best ability, which is availability. And so, with the intangibles that he brings, if he's on the field and relatively healthy, I say relatively healthy because everybody's banged up, but like if he can stay to a point where he's playing at his max capacity, then again, I think he has staying power in the NFL. I think he can belong on a roster. I think if you had to bring him into a game, if you had to rely the franchise on him, I'm not sure, but I think if you had a spot start him, that's not a big deal. But that kind of thing, the command of the offense, being able to pick up on the pro concepts, being able to pick up on the preparation that you have to have in the NFL of who's doing what, who's going to be where, how they're going to attack you, and just goes on from there. And playing quarterback in the NFL is like nothing else. So can he do it? Here is my prediction. You hung around this long to hear my prediction. Diego Pavia will be a day 3 pick. He'll be in the mid to late 6th round or below. Wouldn't surprise me if he was undrafted, but I think he's going to go somewhere in the 6th to 7th round. The intangibles are off the charts. Like I think someone will take a chance on him that wants to create some quarterback competition. I think someone's going to take a chance on him that maybe needs a kind of a specialty player. Like I wouldn't be surprised if like Sean Payton took a chance on him, like he's Taysom Hill Part 2. I don't know, but somebody will take a shot on him, and he has a legitimate shot of making a roster. And I know that sounds crazy. I would not have said that at any point last year. Like I didn't think he didn't strike me as an NFL guy, but the more I think about it, the intangibles go a long, long way. And so I think my prediction, it'll be a day 3 pick. And that's kind of where he lives. He'll be a late day 3 pick, and we'll be talking about exciting training camp storylines for whatever team he lands on. So, but it starts in game 1. His proof in all of this, his audition, whatever you want to call it, starts in game 1. I know I'm late hitting this second break, but Charleston Southern is up first. As a coach would say, the most important game is the first one. Hey, wrapping up the show here. Locked on Vandy. Thanks for sticking around. Thanks for being with us. And however you get here, thank you, thank you, thank you. I made you stay to almost the end to hear my prediction on Dago Pavia. Late third day, 6th or 7th round to be exact. Mid to late 6th round, 7th round somewhere. Someone takes a chance on him. I just think his intangibles are insane. But we look at Charleston Southern because one of the most important games is always the first one, and if we're doing coach speak, that's what Clark Lee's saying probably. We're not worried about Virginia Tech right now. We're worried about Charleston Southern. But, we all know what that means. It means that they're going to work on Virginia Tech, but he's just not going to tell anybody about it. And Virginia Tech plays South Carolina week 1 too, so they'll get a chance to look at 2 opponents, their next 2 opponents, all in one game. But here's kind of what you want for Charleston Southern. Like when you look at this game, you look at the keys and you look at, okay, this is what has to happen against Charleston Southern for us to feel good about it, right? You got to start fast, you got to start sharp, and you got to stay that way for 60 minutes. Like there is no lulls here. If you're going to be a successful, viable team, you blow this team out of the water. That's what good SEC teams do. Right, it's paramount for the confidence of the team. That goes without saying. But this is what SEC teams do in these games. This is how you're supposed to act. If you're going to be in the next tier from where you were, now you're not in the upper tier yet. But if you want to be in the next tier, you have to blow these games out. Right, you have to blow these teams out. You cannot. There's no room for error. There is, you cannot have these lull games. You cannot have another Georgia State, right? Even though they're on the schedule. You can't do it. Like your focus, you can't handle it. You've got to be sharp. If you're going to be sharp, you've got to play that way. You've got to play that way, and you got to start fast. So it's touchdown on the first drive, 3 and out, touchdown on the second drive, 3 and out. Like you have to get to 28 points in the first quarter, I think. And somewhere in that regard, like I think you have to start fast. You have to stay sharp, and you have to stay that way for 60 minutes. That's important because if you don't, I think you open the door to a team that's going to be kind of unfocused. I think their preparation kind of wanes with the opponent, and that's where a Georgia State comes in and slips up and gets you. Like if you're not sharp and you're playing to an opponent versus a standard. That's where you get in trouble. And I know Coach Lee is preaching that. I know all the other coaches are preaching that. I know Diego Pavia is preaching that, and the team leaders, they're all preaching that. And I know it because that's just the nature of coaching. Like you don't want your guys to be complacent. All right. It's human nature to be complacent because it's Charleston Southern. Like who cares? Right. Like they were 1-11 last year. They were god awful. But makes no difference, man. It doesn't matter. Anybody can jump up and get you at any time if you're not sharp, or even if you play a tight one with them. Even if you mess around and play a tight one with them or play sloppy, like that opens the door for so much of that. I don't like they got to start fast, like you did against Alcorn. Just put them away early. All right, offensively, you got to be able to show improvement in scheme and execution, right? And that's more pre-snap movement. That is, scheme-wise, that's an uptick in what you were doing from last year. That's kind of like a graduation of schemes. Like you're beyond the basic stuff. Like you're starting to throw some wrinkles into stuff you did last year. You're starting to involve some guys more. You're starting to pre-snap motion. You're starting to take advantage of matchups. You are pushing the ball down the field. You're utilizing all of your weapons. Right, your execution, it's clean, relatively few penalties. you keep up your stat of having the fewest turnovers in the league last year. Like all of that stuff, like that has to happen, right? Offense, if you're going to take that next step, those are the things you have to do. The more advanced concepts, you have to lean into what you're good at, and you have to find a way to include all of your weapons. So it's not just Diego Pavia and Eli Stowers doing it the whole time, because teams are going to shut that down. You got to get other people involved. It's a team game. Make it that way. And defense, well, defense just needs to dominate from the get-go. You've built the roster to accommodate that. You built the roster to be able to get after the quarterback even more effectively. You've got linebackers that can play the run. You've got safeties that are more athletic. You got corners. You got a cornerback room that's set to pop that has a lot more depth to it. And you got a guy, Martell Height, who in special teams is going to ignite the team. And you've got all of these things. Like, your roster is now built to be able to go and dominate a game like this and to have a successful season. You've got weapons on offense. You've got tools on defense to be able to dominate your opponent. Now, just got to do it. Just do it. I know that sounds super simple. Well, just do it. But that's the thing that's holding you back. Got to execute. Starts with Charleston Southern, then it goes to Virginia Tech, and so on and so forth. So that'll, again, Charleston Southern's feisty on defense, and we'll get into more of like a detailed preview for them. But I think if you do those things, you start fast and you stay sharp, you'll be fine, right? You start competitively. You act like this is not Charleston Southern. You act like this is, this is an SEC game as far as you're concerned, mindset-wise. But anyway, well, I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day. We'll see you back here next time. That's all I got. If you need make sure you check out Locked On Portal with Brian Smith. He's doing a fantastic job there. And of course, like, subscribe, all this stuff. Be a friend, tell a friend. And we'll see you back here next time. Anchor down. Peace out.